Hey, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be looking at 3 useful camera tips to make your shots look even better in Blender. In this video, we'll cover composition guides, the use of different focal lengths, and the aperture settings for your camera. So the first thing we're going to look at is our compositional guides. This is going to help us keep our shot framed well and allow us to follow some more conventional rules for composition. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at our Camera Data Object Properties tab over here. And then I'll scroll all the way down until I find Viewport Display. And make sure your pass part out is checked out and all the way to 1. That way it'll be completely blacked out and everything that's not in our shot won't be visible to us anymore, so that's the only thing we're going to focus on. Over at the top, we can go ahead and hit our thirds. This will give us a vertical and horizontal slats for our rule of thirds. You can also choose things like center and diagonal. You can even choose the golden ratio, but for this project we're just going to use the rule of thirds. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and have our camera object selected to make sure we're in the View tab, and we're going to hit Lock Camera to View. Now we can go ahead and move about the viewport just as we would normally. And now wherever we move our viewport, the camera's going to follow us. Now I want to line my composition up so that I have these 3 whiskey glasses lined up as my focal piece. Remembering the rule of thirds, I'm going to go ahead and place the glasses around that bottom right corner where our grid shows. If you need to recenter your camera's rotation axis like I do, you can just hit the right period key and it should recenter you. So I'll go ahead and select the plate because I want that to be my focal point, hit the period key, and now I can rotate around it a little bit easier. Next up, let's talk a little about focal lengths. Having a smaller focal length will allow you to get closer to your subject, but will also cause a more dramatic warp in perspective, like this 15mm lens here. Alternatively, a higher focal length, like this 135mm lens, will allow you to be farther from the subject with a more flattened perspective. Now let's go ahead and change the focal length here in Blender. So in our camera properties, we can go ahead and change it here under focal length. I'm going to go ahead and change it to something about 85, maybe about 100. And I'll go ahead and zoom back out, recenter our composition here. And right about there is good. And then we'll scroll down and find our depth of field settings. So we can change our distance manually here, and you can do that for every camera shot that you do, and you can just eyeball it manually, or we can use a focus object. Here I've already planted a empty that I placed right in front of the glasses. So going back to the camera, scrolling back down, I'll go ahead and change that focus object to my camera focus empty. And there it'll auto adjust for you. Our next step is our aperture settings. We have f-stop, blades, rotation, and ratio. Starting off with f-stop. On a physical manual camera, f-stop refers to how wide the camera lens opens its blades before taking the shot. A lower f-stop means there's a bigger opening to allow more light into the shot, leading to a blurrier background. Whereas the larger the f-stop, the crisper the image will be. Here are some common values used in real-world photography that we can emulate here in Blender as well. So for this shot, I've added in some extra string lights in the back to not only help with composition, but to demonstrate the rest of our aperture settings. I like an f-stop of 2.8 the best for this scene. It gives just enough bokeh, or distorted, out-of-focus light particles to my liking. After that, we have our blades, which are the physical number of blades that would be present in a camera lens, but here digitally, it's really only going to affect the shape of the bokeh here. So 3 is going to give us a triangle, 4 will give us a square here, so on and so forth. I personally like a 5 pentagon shape the best, so we'll go with that. rotation is fairly straightforward. It's going to be the rotation degree that is affected to our bokeh. So the more I bring it up, the more it'll rotate. The more I bring it down, the more it'll rotate in the other direction. Ratio is fairly straightforward as well. It's a bit of a squash and stretch value to our bokeh lights. But I'll keep that normal for now. All that we have left to do is hit render and see what we've got. And there you have it. There is every camera setting that you need to know to make better renders in Blender. I hope you found this video helpful. My name is Mathew Greene, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.